Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations. We are so excited because we got a great show on today. First and foremost, we want to take the time to say thank you to our man of God, the shepherd of this house, Pastor Tony Smith, for allowing us to come before you today and to speak openly and to just be able to have some great conversation among women. So thank you, Pastor Tony. So without further ado, we are going to get right into the show. My goodness. Now, let me say this. There is nothing easier for a woman to talk about than men. You put us with some food and some tea and put a man on the table, not on the table, but the topic of a man on the table, and we will start talking. So today's conversation is going to be really fun because we're talking about men. And the topic is what men wish women knew. So men, I hope you're watching. Ladies, don't move from your seat. So the first question is, what are some assumptions, ladies, that women make about men? What are some assumptions that women make about men? I have a few just going through my head, but I'm gonna go to Elder Sutton. Start us off, Elder Sutton.
Well, women assume that men are on the same level as they are. They think because God gave men the role of being the head, they think that men are the head. And sometimes the women have to step up and be the head because the man is not on the level to be the head.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think that we assume that age makes a man mature.
Yeah.
That they know how to make good decisions because of their age, but sometimes that is not always true.
Is it ever true? Sometimes, is it ever true? Come on, Pastor Boo.
I think that it can be assumed by women that men always want to help, and that's not always the case.
Oh, that men always want to help. Okay, elaborate on that, Pastor Boo.
Well, in my generations, it was assumed, we were trained about certain things that we could anticipate from a male. Even the young men were trained as sons to open the door for women, to say, yes, ma'am, and do other things. And if they saw a woman in distress, they would want to come and help them or assist in some way. But unfortunately, that does not always happen in the culture in which we live now, because it's a lot more selfishness, a lot more, and I don't know if it has been affected by the feminist movement, which occurred some years ago, but it's not necessarily true that if someone sees you in distress, a man sees you in distress, they'll want to help you, or if they're cursing and using all kind of foul language, they respect your presence and they want to, not use it, but they just don't care, some of them.
That's good. That's good. Okay.
Because you see a man cry, that doesn't mean he's weak.
Oh, that's good.
Because most people think when they see a man cry, or you cry like a girl, you weak, but they are human too. They have feelings as well as we have feelings,
That's good.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna add to the conversation about weakness and men being strong, and physically, I think that they are, like, just anatomy-wise, that they could be stronger than women, but that's not always the case. And I think when it comes down to men not feeling like they have a safe space or they could express their emotions, they internalize a lot. And I'm overgeneralizing because it's case by case, but statistically speaking, men at alarming rates have committed suicide or attempted suicide, and I feel like that is because they don't have outlets or feel like there's no other way, because they're perceived as being strong and not emotionally, stable, without being like a macho man, basically.
So my assumption is if I can't do it, he can. So it's a lot of times he can't. I'm thinking in terms of fixing things, like my dad, he's a Mr. Fix-It. So in dealing with men in general, I'm thinking if something's broke, if I can't, fiddle it together, he can, and there's some that just can't.
Most definitely not.
That's good. What about when a man is silent and you just think, well, he's just silent, and you've been telling him your problems and your issues and you thinking he don't care. but he does care. It's just that men, or you tell me if it's true, that men just process things differently. You know, we're more emotional. We're going to let you know, oh my God, this is happening. I can't believe it. And the man is just like,
Just calm.
yeah, like, okay.
My husband is like that. So he's very quiet. So like sometimes when I come home and just to have a conversation, you know, I think it probably has something to do with the upbringing or something like that, or, you know, I don't know, but I'm like, you know, he always quiet about it. So what I do is I leads the conversation and I keep pushing a conversation until he's joined in with the conversation. It may not be on the same page of where I'm, but it might take him a little time to process it, but you know what I mean, but it's the push that I just continue to do so he can join and to let him feel comfortable about it. Sometimes he might think, well, you know, what is she, you know, how would I feel? Or maybe the way I lead the conversation, like, I better not say this because she might get mad, you know, something like that. So, you know, so what I do is I just normally continue to lead the conversation and push him in the conversation until he joined the conversation.
I think if there's a change in our daily conversation, like the silence all of a sudden starts, that he has something on his mind. There's something maybe heavy. If we're not vibing the same way that we normally vibe, and all of a sudden he's silent, I'm bringing, you know, I'm my same self, but now you're quiet, you're not chiming in, you're not, you seem different. You have a weight that I don't know about, that maybe I need to pray about, that maybe I need to give you time and space to process it, then, you know, we can talk about it. So if there's been a change in how we talk and all of a sudden this silence appears, then you gotta have something, a weight or something that happened that you ain't ready to talk about.
So how do we get them, how do we get men to be more comfortable talking to us? You know, when you do have that man that is on the more of a silent, you know, communicator more than an open communicator.
Well, I think some men, I'm gonna say this, I think some men don't want to communicate because they don't want to put the pressure of what they have on the woman. So I think a lot of times they'll say, I'll deal with it myself, I'll figure it out myself. Now, not every man is this way, but there are some men that say, you know what, this is my problem, or this is our problem that she brought to me, and I need to figure it out myself. So she has enough weight she's dealing with, so I'm gonna just figure it out for me and my family. So I don't think, you know, a lot of men would like to avoid, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is how I'm gonna fix it. They just go out and fix it.
I think it also has a lot to do with how long you've been around that male, because it's a process. Just as it is a process for them to learn you, and what are things that motivate you, what are things that tick you off, and things like that. But while they're in the process of learning you, you're also helping them to, or you're also learning about them and the things. So I just know that there are things that I can very quickly and readily approach my husband about. But there are also some things when I know that this is not a good moment to talk about that. Because if his attention and focus is elsewhere, all I'm doing is wasting my time because I don't have his full attention. So it's really just learning, or discerning, that's a nice spiritual term. But learning what their moods are like and when it is appropriate and a good time to bring forth certain subjects, as opposed to deciding maybe I better put that off for later. Now, not unless it's an emergency. If it's an emergency, then, you know, that's a whole different ball game then, because then they know if from interacting with you that you're not just pushy all the time. If you're pushy all the time, you're going to get tuned out much of the time.
And that's good, Pastor Boo, because sometimes, you know, we shut them down, you know what I mean, as women, you know what I mean, because it's not just only men, women are like that too, you know what I mean, we'll shut them down, and once they shut down, then they don't want to have the conversation again with you, you know what I mean, or they're just like, oh, forget it, let's talk about something else, you know, so that's good.
Well, in my house, I get the silent treatment. I get the silent treatment a lot. I be talking, you know, I'll talk and ask a question, and my husband will just look. But then when he wants to talk about the same thing that we didn't address, then he'll come back and maybe a day later, and start to talking about whatever it was I asked him, and then he'll add a whole lot of other stuff that went on like weeks before. You know, he just go back and get stuff, and then he'll talk about it. But at that moment, no, he just look at you. When you want to talk, he'll just look at you. And then when he want to talk, everything comes out.
All right, ladies, so do you think that men are misunderstood?
I don't think they misunderstood. I think that, you know, sometimes sometimes everybody not on the same page. You know what I mean? I don't think they misunderstood. I think that sometimes, you know, with us, we, you know, for me, I'm gonna say for me, you know, if it ain't my way, it's the highway. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, and I have to realize that, you know, because I put it out there and that's my way, that doesn't mean that's the right way. You know what I mean? And then sometimes when you see men that will, you know, because I said it this way for driving, for instance, no, you should have went that way. You know what I mean? When he had his own way to go. So that, because he didn't take the way I wanted him to go, you know what I mean? That's just a for instance, you know what I mean? So, you know, so, but I don't think they misunderstood.
I think someone might have already said this, but men and women are different in how we process things and how we handle different things. And I can't say it's a misunderstanding, it's just different in approaches. Just like you said with the directions, like I would have went this way, but he chose to go a different route. Hopefully you arrive at the same destination. You get to the answer, but it's just different approaches.
Yeah, they go
I
round
think
and round.
that in some instances, it has a lot to do with the two of you not being on the same page. And I smile now because my husband and I had an incident on yesterday. And I came in talking about one family member and a challenge that they were facing. But he was already poised to ask me about someone else. So I'm responding to the one thing, and he's responding to the other thing, and suddenly we're both saying, that is not what I was talking about. So, well, I thought that this is where we were, but we really were not. Our mindsets were on different things, so we just laughed about it and we tried to get clarification of it, but we just were not tuned in. And you're not always tuned in to that person that is speaking to you, so hopefully you'll finally connect to the fact that you're not thinking about the same thing.
I think I'm gonna come at it from a different angle. Okay, so I've been single for quite some time, but I feel like in my singleness, I have created a very strong demeanor, and it's not my way or the highway, but it's like I've been doing something for so long, and I have an expectation that if I was to meet someone, or I assume because I've been doing this for so long, if I say it, then that's what you should do. So I think when it comes to a person who's been doing things on their own, you know, trying to go to the mall and you know a quicker route, and you tell them it's a quick route and they say, no, I'll go a different way. I think that's an angle of being misunderstood, because you're not, I think, basically, like, I'm not always right, because we have such a strong mindset as a woman. Like, I have created a very strong mindset, and I'm like, this is how it is, and this is what it's going to be. So you can't come in and tell me something, even though it may be better. So I think I get misunderstood, and I think I misunderstand, you know, men's point of view or man's point of view, because I've been doing something for so long that I don't take a moment to listen to what it is they're trying to say. So it can become like, you misunderstanding me, you misunderstanding me. And yeah, I could be, because I'm just so strong-minded in what I think it should be. But I think a lot of that misunderstanding comes from us, of course, not having a discernment, Pastor Paul, or decreasing in ourselves to say, you know what, yeah, you're right, because, you know, I feel like my way is the highway, because this is, I mean, it's just me, right? I mean, I hate to say that, but it's true. Like, I feel like if I want to go somewhere, I'm going to go. You know, I don't have to ask, not your permission, but, you know, have that understanding of, do you think I should go, or do you think I should do something different? So.
Wow. So how How do you break that? Because, I mean, you're speaking, and a lot of women feel that way. You know what I mean? There have been, there's so many women that say, you know, I've been single for years, and now, you know, I'm in may or may not be in a relationship trying to figure it out. And then it's like, wait a minute now, where's the compromise? And how do you compromise with a man that you may not see eye to eye with all the time? Toy, I'm gonna hear from you.
Yeah, that's something that I pray about all the time.
You pray about, you pray.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just because, like, in my experience, like, friends and family who are in relationships, and then I see it, and I'm just like, Lord, I must not be ready, because I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So I pray about it, because I know that communication is definitely key. And you have to, like, oftentimes, like, choose your battles. And I think that once you begin to know a person, you know how they respond to things, you know their expectation for things, and it's like, okay, if I say this, they're gonna respond this way. So I really feel like going down this route and having this argument, or is it really worth having a disagreement? Like, it's not that serious. So I think that comes on a one-to-one, like, you knowing that person. When I think, just to go back to the assumptions about men, and I think that it's very important for men or people in general to feel safe in being able to express their emotions, that they can trust you. Specifically with men, if you are always coming with the rah, 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 they may feel that you are challenging them, like being disrespectful, so then they're always on defense, so they're not hearing anything that you have to say. So I think that it'll be easier to communicate, or for them not to be misunderstood, one, if they communicate how they feel. But you have to provide, like, a safe environment, not judging them, not that you're going to throw it back in their face because they're showing a moment of weakness, so to speak, that they can express their emotions.
Well, you have to realize that if, like Chantal said, Evangelist Chantal, she was saying about it's her way or no way. But once you've been single for a long time, I've been married for 40 years. And when I first got married, I was so happy to be married that I adjusted real good. I was like, I'd go out and I wouldn't ask nobody because I didn't have nobody to ask. But once I got married, it was like, okay, I'm gonna go this place, is that okay? You know, and I'm gonna do this for the kids, because I had 2 kids when I got married. I'm gonna do this for the kids. Is that okay? You know, I ask these things, so we have to adjust. You know, once we take on a husband, and you'll have to adjust. You'll have to adjust to, you know, whatever it is your husband wants you to do. You know, you got to do your thing too, but you had to also adjust to the things that he would like for you to do and how he would like for you to do it. So it's just, you can do it. Mm-hmm. You can do it, because I did, you know, but it's a different story now. I'm a little old and I just going out the door, you know, but that still doesn't make it right. You know, it doesn't make it right because I do it. You know, every now and then I'll say I'm going such and such, but sometimes I just go out the door, you know. And it's still, like I said, don't make it right. So don't follow. Because it's not right.
40 years, Elder Sutton. Congratulations. 40 that's a long. That's as long as I'm living. So here's. I didn't figure out my question. How important is it for men to know that we respect their decisions in the household or in the relationship?
Tell
them. Right? Okay.
And the reason why I say that is my husband is what would be classified as the strong silent type. It's not that we don't communicate, because we do, and we have wonderful times of doing that, but it also means that, as I said before, we're not always on the same page about some things. And my demeanor is, in many cases, I try not to force a confrontation when it's a better way to get it resolved without having to do that. But every once in a while, if we lock horns about something, then I feel free enough with him to say, honey, this is really bothering me. And I'm not trying to make you seem any less because of how you manage this particular or these things in our family life. But this is bothering me. I'm not going to pretend that it isn't, because I want you to know how I'm feeling. So there are times when I have to be very, very candid with him about it. And that is not a sign of weakness or relenting on my part. It's just that I want him to know my heart. Our pastor says often to us as a congregation, I want you to know my heart. So when it's that kind of thing, I want him to know my heart. So I don't try to be, all this. I'm not a cry, whippy, wimpy kind of woman, per se. I have my moments, but I want him to know my heart about it, so that when he knows that, and I try to make it a point to share with him that I respect it. And even when I say to him, honey, we are not in agreement about this, but you're the head of this family, and whatever you say and whatever decisions you render, I'm in agreement with it because you're the head of the family. So I want him to know that it is respected, but I want him to also know that I like him to give me the opportunity to express my opinion.
Right.
Well, Pastor Poole is so nice and soft-spoken and poised, and you know what I mean?
Not always.
I couldn't even see you being upset, you know what I mean? And so I couldn't even, when you come to the man just as, well, honey, it bothers me. Unlike myself, I'll be like, well, I don't like this is a mess,
We're not doing that.
Shut them all down. You be like, I don't.
And that's me.
Like so many of us. That's especially when, and as women, things be on your mind, and eventually you be quiet, and then we kind of like can get to the point where we blow up. Not like blow up, but it just comes out. So if we could learn your poise and your grace.
Well, my husband do like
What
this.
works for you?
He absolutely, and I like that. So my husband is like this. Okay, babe, whatever you say, babe. You know what I mean? But he does that because he don't. I guess he feel like, okay, if I don't do this now, where's this conversation going at? But when I'm wrong, I get convicted really quick. The Holy Spirit will convict me really quick, and then I'll go to him, and then I'm like, look, we can do it like that. First, I apologize to him, and I didn't mean to come off like this, but my tone and my personality, you already know. And he'll go and say, and that's why I say, okay, babe, okay, all right, babe, you know what I mean? But sometimes with me, I don't like this, okay, babe, all right, babe, come on, conversate, bring it. If I'm wrong, say, no, you're wrong. You know what I mean? So he don't give me that combative. You don't give me that. That just be me.
You do leave it.
Yeah, right, okay, I'm still learning. Y'all 40 over me. I'm only coming in on 3. But I'm learning. Thank you for your pause, and I'm going to use that.
So then our tone is important in how we talk to.
Because I don't want nobody to talk to me like that, so I have to check myself. I wouldn't want nobody to talk to me like that, so sometimes I have to check myself like, Yvonne, that wasn't right. You know what I mean? That's not right, and he don't deserve that. You know what I mean? So
my tone is always loud. I'm just a loud person, and my husband always, what you hollering at me for? You don't have to talk to me like that. And I'll be like, Sonny, we've been here married 40 years. I've been talking like this for 40 years. I say I sing loud, I talk loud, and I preach loud. And it's not going to change. That's how I get him. And then you just be so loud. That's just my tone. I don't need this mic right now, but no, I don't. But it's for the show. I don't need a mic.
I'm going to say this. I've learned that dealing with respect and disrespect, right? So I think my thing is and I'm gonna be transparent a little bit, when someone lets me down and I get disappointed, I do lose a little bit of respect because I feel like, and I hate to say this, and I guess it goes back to the mature part, I feel like you knew better. So, and I'm like, and I think life does bring experiences, and it does give borderline of disrespect, where I lose the respect because I'm like, you disappointed me, there are certain things that I accepted, I forgave, and you did it again, I accepted, and you did it again. So I think it's a borderline thing, and then I think that's when it comes to the point where you start like, I'm from Cherry Hill, so I turn my head, I pop my lip, I do all of this stuff because, I'll respect you because you disappointed me, or I'll respect you because of, X, Y, Z, but it's not right? So I think a lot of that comes in with, regardless, and Pastor Poole, you really are an example because you say, I think the strong thing that you said was, at the end of the day, this is my opinion, but whatever you say, Joe, is what we're going to do. And I think that's going to be a hard pill to swallow, because sometimes everybody don't make the right decision. And that's going to be a struggle for me, because you may know better than the person, and they're not giving you the opportunity to explain yourself or to say, okay, well, let me tell you how this is supposed to be. But I think that's where the disrespect comes in for me, because I'm just like, you did it this way and it didn't work out that way. And little by little, the respect kind of like goes away. I'm just being transparent, I'm just being honest, but I know it's not right, but it's something that I think us individually have to work on. We have to work on.
Yeah.
I don't think for me that it's a lack of respect that I turn to. I think it's just like mistrust. Like, I may not rely on that person to execute certain things because of their history of not doing it. But then I kind of think holistically, like, what's the root of that? Like, why aren't they able to deliver, or why are they talking to me this way, or why are they behaving this way? Because there's always a reason why. And I think if you have the patience enough to explore that, to ask, you can kind of come to an agreement or compromise. But it doesn't require you to be disrespectful, to always challenge the person, to be rude or to say mean things if you guys are just having a disagreement. So I think for me it's like a mistrust in that area, but not a disrespect.
So when it gets to the point of like having mistrust and you're not seeing eye to eye, and I'm really strong about an opinion, I have to remind myself to stay humble, because I know I want to voice my opinion. I know I want to express myself, because this ain't right. And so I have to remind myself, because every time I wasn't humble, every time I was loud about something and went for the jugular, because it can get like that, it's like later on the back end, it's like, I was so wrong. I was convicted. I had to, go back and humble myself anyway and apologize. So in the moment, I have to try to remind myself, stay humble. Just stay humble. Hold your peace and let God deal with it.
Well, this is some good information for the single and for the married. And I think this is a good topic, because we don't have all the answers. Even 40 years in, 3 years in, never been married and been divorced, you still are always, as women, we got to always check ourselves and say, how can we understand the man that's in our life, or the father, our father, because it's not always just about relationships. We have father figures, brothers, that we have to communicate with. And I'm gathering from this conversation, like, our tone is, and I said it before, our tone is so important. And I have realized, even in, just at 41, the way you come at a man and, you giving him all of this, it will shut him down off the top. And he will be like, that's okay, I don't even want to talk about anything. Is there anything else, as we have about 2 minutes left in the show, that you would like to put out there as we are dealing with what men want women to know? Anything else? Any advice? Or go ahead, Pastor Pooh. I knew she was coming in with strong advice. Go ahead, Pastor Pooh. We love your advice. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that whatever that male figure is in your life, we're females, they're males. I don't know what it is to be a man, because I'm not a man.
Right.
So our perspectives are different, so we have to pay attention to that fact. In whatever that relationship is, I approach my sons differently than I do my daughter. My daughter has a different relationship with her dad in a sense than the sons do, because there is the difference. But whatever it is, respect is so very, very important and key to that. We cannot afford to be so opinionated that we don't want to let other people have a say.
Well, I think my husband is, you all know, he's older than I am a lot. And he always say this thing when he get to talking, just shut up and listen. That's your problem. You don't want to listen. And that's when I lose all respect for him right then and there, because don't tell me shut up. Don't tell me shut up and listen. I am listening. He doesn't want to hear my opinion sometimes. He wants, me just to listen to him.
All right, well, we have to listen more, ladies. We got to be quiet. We got to listen.
No.
And we got to listen. All the son said no. Well, we hope that you have enjoyed the show. We love bringing this show to you. We thank again our pastor, Pastor Tony Smith, and we invite you to be a part of our services on Sunday, 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. We will see you next time with more conversations. Different topic, but more conversations. We love you. Bye-bye.